Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to LRNow's first ever virtual Oyster celebration. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're so happy you're here with us this evening for this wonderful event. I'm Vanessa Corey, and I am extremely thrilled to be your MC tonight. This event will be a fun look behind the scenes at LRNow's work and around here and around Virginia Beach. We're going to have trivia with prizes, and we will announce winners of 4 incredible raffle prizes. Joining me, though, before we get to any of that greatness, for all the fun, is Karen Forget. She is LRNow's Executive Director. Karen?
Thank you so much, Vanessa, and welcome everyone. Thank you for watching tonight. We are so pleased that you have joined us this evening. We can't wait to see you all in person again, but until we can safely meet here and connect to support what we all care about, clean and healthy waterways and our Virginia Beach natural areas. Before we get started with our program, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the sponsors of this event. Our sponsors are extremely generous and have enabled us to be together tonight. In particular, we'd like to give a special shout out to our presenting sponsor, the Campbell, Johnson and Earl Management Group at Merrill Lynch. Our platinum sponsors, Marlin Development Corp. And the Meridian Group. And our gold sponsors, MEB, Runnymede, 71st Street Anglers, Bob and Janice Wells, and Harry and Dee Lester. A big thank you to all of our sponsors and everyone who made this celebration possible.
Well, you know, many of you.
So we're going to start this evening talking about our oyster work. Many of you know that LRNow has been working for 19 years to bring back our native oysters. We were so excited when the first Lynnhaven oysters were eaten safely again at our 2007 oyster roast. Oysters play so many key roles in our saltwater ecosystems, from stabilizing shorelines to providing key habitat and food to our marine species, to filtering nutrients and sediments from our waters. To give you a sense of what effective filter feeders they are, we created this little time-lapsed video. Do you notice how much clearer the water is getting with just a few oysters in the bowl? Many of you have seen this demonstration, but it's always good to be reminded of how hard our oysters are working all the time to keep our waters clean. Thank you again for participating in this event today and for being a part of our community of oyster huggers.
It is so awesome, Karen. And man, I know a lot of you out there are really excited that you received delicious Lynnhavens from Parish Point and can't wait to eat them. But I do have a question for you, Karen. Let me ask, should oyster shells go in the trash?
That's a great question, Vanessa. Please remember when you're finished with those delicious oysters that recycling your oyster shells is really important. Those shells can be the start of a new sanctuary reef in our local waterways. We've been building a reef just this week in the eastern branch of the Lynnhaven with shells from our shell collection program. There is information on page 5 in your event booklet about where to drop off your shells so that this valuable natural resource can be reused. You can bring them to any of those drop-off sites.
All right. Very cool. Thank you, Karen. So everybody has homework. And thank you, Karen, so much for kicking off this event for us tonight. Now, some of us may have the shutdown, but for those of you patiently waiting to open and eat your oysters tonight, we have a very special treat. Chris Ludford from Pleasure House Oysters is here to teach you exactly how to open up those beautiful Lynnhavens.
Good evening. It's Captain Chris Ludford of Pleasure House Oysters, and I'm out here with Lynnhaven River now. And we are on the Lynnhaven River. We got some fresh oysters we just pulled from the water, and we're going to talk a little about shucking. We're going to do a hinge shuck today. It's generally the safest type of way to shuck an oyster. It's your average run-of-the-mill oyster. You got our oyster knife. Want to set that down, preferably wearing a glove, or you can use a dish towel to hold the oyster. And you take your knife, you want to get right in that hinge, and you just get in there and give it a little twist, and then it pops in. You can see it's free, all right? But we're not done. But what I want to do is sweep around, turning the oyster a little bit, and I want to cut that adductor muscle. The adductor muscle is what holds the two halves together. And you'll be able to see it here in just a second. There it is. Now we've got our oyster. We're going to pretty it up a little bit. Now the oyster, beautiful, full of liquor. We haven't lost any of the liquor. What a great shuck, but we're not done. We take our knife then, and we have to cut the adductor muscle on the bottom side of the oyster. We cut that away, make sure the oyster is free floating, so that when the person eating the oyster tips the oyster back, the oyster doesn't get stuck. We want that oyster to float freely from the shell. So, got a little liquor, we taste. Oh yeah, and then perfect shuck. People often ask me what makes a Lynn Haven oyster so special, and it's the flavor, the legend. The legendary part of the oyster, the Lynn Haven, is the size and the flavor. They're not too salty, but they're briny. They also have a sweet flavor. They don't have a very metallic flavor like oysters that you find farther up the bay, closer to the James and places like that. So it's a very sweet oyster, it has a nice finish, and it's just a famous oyster. It was the first oyster that was eaten in the New World, and it was demanded on plates from New York to Europe. They shipped them overseas in the 1700s, 1800s, in barrels with the water from the Lynn Haven River. It's just an incredible story. So a lot of it is lore and legend, but when it gets down to it, it's just a great tasting oyster. Clean and healthy waterways are essential. The oyster is the canary in the coal mine, if you will. Oyster is the gatekeeper, and it's also the bellwether and the indicator of clean water. So when we have clean water and we have a great ecosystem, we can eat the oysters. If the waterway is not clean, or there's been historic pollution, or there's problems, then those waters are what we call condemned, and you can't eat them. So we're very much married to clean water and the environmental concerns shared by Lynn Haven River Now, who we consider a partner. When they need something, we try to help as much as we can, and they are really the local stewards and the local investors in clean water and the clean environment. And what that does is allow me to continue my business and make a profit, make money. I can't make money without selling oysters, and I have to have clean water to harvest and sell oysters. Lynn Haven River Now has been a great partner for us and for the river and the watermen of the river from day one. Every year we've seen increases in the amount of river open to harvest and the water quality improve. Lynn Haven River Now formed and pushed for greater water quality standards. They built partnerships with the local government, the education of the community, and now we're sitting at about half of the river open to harvest. So it's an incredible accomplishment, and Lynn Haven River Now has been instrumental in that from day one.
Did you know the Lynn did not have harvestable oysters when the organization began way back in 2002? Now we're on live right now, and I'm having a little audio problem I'm going to correct. So just give me a moment, my friends. I think we fixed it. Or maybe we didn't. Just a second. Okay. Moment. That's the beauty of live programming, my friends, but we are ready to go. So the return of the oyster farming started in 2007 after LRNow actively engaged the community to collectively make efforts to diminish pollution in the waterways. Now, since its founding, LRNow, along with its partners, has planted 100 acres of sanctuary oyster reefs, which provide key habitats and food for marine species. Few of us have been actually on the water to see LRNow sanctuary reefs firsthand, but tonight we're going to change that. So stick around right here and check it out.
Good evening. I'm Captain Brent James from Lynnhaven River Now. I'm the Oyster Restoration Coordinator for the Lynnhaven Estuary. We're standing on what's called the 8th reef right now. This was the first reef that was built by Lynnhaven River Now using 5,000 bushels of shell from our restaurant collection program. So we have 23 restaurants that donate their used shell to us, and we cure it down at the city landfill, and then within a year or two we can bring it up here and put it on these reefs. This is called a transtidal reef. It's neither below the water or above, it's both. And this reef provides not only habitat for new oysters to grow, but also habitat for many species of small fish, crabs, shrimp, crustaceans of all manner. This was the first one we did. And we're getting ready to build another one now, an acre reef on the eastern branch of the Lynnhaven, which will be named for Mary Lou Kurtzinger Gale, who was one of the victims of the mass shooting at the City Hall 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. That will be an acre of shell reef, and we're going to start that very quickly, get that in the water, and then we're going to have a dedication ceremony for her family and friends to come out and throw some oyster shells in the water. That reef will use about 10,000 bushels of shell, so about twice as much as you see here. These oysters, these shells provide a place for new oysters called spat on which to attach themselves and grow, and they filter the water between 20 and 50 gallons of water a day. We have right now 102 acres of sanctuary reef in the Lynnhaven. Our intermediate threshold number is 152, so we have 50 more acres in which we need to build in the next 3 or 4 years. Back in John Smith's time, there were between 1,100 and 1,300 acres of reef in the Lynnhaven. So even when we hit our goal of 152, we're only at about 14% of what should be here by historical measurement.
It is fascinating to see just how critical oysters are to the health of our waterways and local ecosystems. The fact that LRNow and all of you have worked so hard to bring back native oysters is very impressive and important to all of us who live here in Virginia Beach. So thank you. Let's have a little fun now. It's time to do our very first trivia question with a gift giveaway. Here's how it works, okay? This is easy. Two students, Connor and Kaylee, will read the question. The first person to put the correct answer in the chat box is the winner. Keep in mind, you can only win one time this evening because we want to give multiple people the chance at winning a great prize. Speaking of prizes, the prize for the correct answer to this question is a $50 gift card to Tautog's, donated by that very restaurant. Tautog's is also a Save Oyster Shell restaurant, so you know you'll be supporting a great place when you eat there. Good luck, everybody.
Hi, I'm Connor Rivers. And I'm Carrie Rivers. My mom is a volunteer with Lynnhaven River Now, and I have raised spat at my pearl school and helped with cleanups. Clean, healthy waterways are important because it helps save animals like turtles. How many gallons of water can a mature oyster filter in one day? A, 10 gallons, B, 20 gallons, C, 40 gallons, D, 50 gallons.
All right, do I have my winner? Do I have my audio? Do I have all my goodies ready to go? Because our winner is Cammie. Congratulations to you. So you get that $50 gift card, and it's gonna be a delicious dinner. Well, as you guys can imagine, LRNow works closely with Virginia Beach city officials. So it is appropriate that we turn now to Mayor Bobby Dyer. He's here to share a special message with us.
I'll tell you, shucking oysters ain't that easy. Hello and welcome to the 19th annual Lynnhaven River Now Oyster Celebration. The Lynnhaven has been a very special place in our history and our culture. The waterway was the transportation artery for the city's earliest exploration and settlement after the first landing. In colonial times, it became the lifeblood connection from a farming community to towns scattered throughout the Tidewater region. As Princess Anne County changed from a sleepy rural community to a growing suburban area, the Lynnhaven watershed was the first to be extensively developed. With its development came many new residents, as well as many new challenges. Over time, once world-famous oysters and aquatic grass beds declined due to increasingly poor water quality. But there's good news. Inspired by the leadership and advocacy of Lynnhaven River Now, the people of Virginia Beach turned this situation around. What remarkable progress we've made. We've proven that together we can accomplish what none of us could do alone. Today, Lynnhaven River Now brings people together to make sure that all of Virginia Beach's beautiful waterways have a long and prosperous future. The Virginia Beach City Council is dedicated to protecting and preserving our natural environment, and we want to thank you for your support of Lynnhaven River Now. Let me try this again. I got to get back to that video, but listen, you enjoy your oysters and enjoy your evening.
Gosh, what a great message from Mayor Dyer, and thank you so much. I wish I could bottle up this passion. It is obvious that LRNow goes the extra mile, of course, to make sure that they build strong community relationships so that we are all working together toward clean and healthy waterways. Now, let's work together to hand out another prize. It is time to announce the first raffle prize winner. And with us now to announce that winner, and they're winning something great. It's that 11-foot wooden rowboat. It's Tom Brandel of the Tidewater Wooden Boat Workshop.
Hi, I'm Tom Brandel. I'm the Executive Director of Tidewater Wooden Boat Workshop. And we're very happy to support Lynnhaven River Now by donating this beautiful rowboat for their raffle. Like Lynnhaven River Now, we are very interested in the health of the local waterways, especially the Lynnhaven River. Our kids take the boats out on the water and row and sail the boats that they build. So now I'm excited to announce the winner of this beautiful boat. And the winner of the raffle prize is Melissa Summers. Congratulations. You have yourself a beautiful boat.
There you have it. The winner is Melissa Summers. Congratulations to you, Melissa. No doubt you're going to have a great time enjoying our waterways in your new fancy pants boat. It's beautiful. All right, LRNow is very fortunate to have an incredible board of directors who care deeply about Virginia Beach's waterways. One of those founding board members is historian and environmental advocate Lily Gilbert. She also just so happened to have compiled this wonderful book, The History on the Half Shell Cookbook. Thank you, not only to her for putting this together, but also to the Atlantic on Pacific restaurant for printing this cookbook. And here's Lily now with a short and informative presentation for us about the history of Virginia oysters.
Thank you for taking a look at the condensed history of the East Coast oyster. I hope to give you a few new facts as we travel through time. Prastostrea virginica is our oyster, growing along all of the East Coast states, with each watery area providing the special taste to the oysters that live there. Our local Lynnhavens are very special in the history of oysters, as you will discover. Oysters have been around since the age of the dinosaurs. These amazing bivalves have endured incredible changes over time. Native Americans who lived along the coast were the first people to enjoy this protein source. The white explorers that arrived in the New World were already used to eating oysters. However, the European oyster is a different animal from ours. Upon the arrival of the first permanent English colonists on our shore that we now call Virginia Beach, George Percy reported, "We ate some of the oysters, which were very large and delicate in taste." For colonial Americans living along the coast for 3 centuries, oysters became a necessary food source. Moving into the 17 and 1800s, oysters are extremely popular in all coastal states, but tops in consumption was New York City, which could easily have been called the Big Oyster. By the late 19th century, Lynnhaven oysters were known as some of the largest and finest. Northeast supplies were dwindling fast. Oyster processing businesses popped up all along the Chesapeake Bay. Gathering by the use of long tongs was a way to collect bushels of oysters. In deeper water, gathering by dredging became profitable. Tongers versus dredgers, not to mention our out-of-staters coming into Virginia and Maryland waters, caused a lot of anger among the watermen. The dredgers scraped the waterways of whatever was there. In an undermanaged and underregulated time, the oyster wars ensued, much like a Wild West scenario, and gunfights were bold and daring. To try to enforce existing regulations, the oyster police tried to take charge and protect rights in Virginia and Maryland. Oyster poaching was rampant, overharvesting continued. Even as problems existed, demand for oysters was huge. In 1844, Baltimore began the first large-scale canning operation, and now for the first time, oyster meat could be safely shipped in bulk to all states in the United States and abroad. This began our golden age of oysters. The Pure Food Laws of 1906 changed the public's opinion of the oyster, and the oyster scare of 1907-1909 caused a temporary decline in consumption. Eating good oysters changed from commonplace to luxury. Thanks to the newspapers at the beginning of the 20th century for writing about celebrities who requested and enjoyed Lynnhaven oysters in restaurants around the United States and elsewhere, they echoed the writings of the explorer in 1607, who described their unique taste. In 1929, we had an underpopulated Lynnhaven area, and yet we had a die out of oysters. What was the cause? Water pollution of some sort, but between the problem times, a local industry boomed. During cool weather seasons, Lynnhaven oyster roasts were very popular in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, either catered or just a homegrown roast. The Keeling Restaurant, Hurd's, Steinhelber's, and the Cavalier Hotel, with many other businesses, relied on the Lynnhaven oyster as a big draw. Somehow, our oysters made it through the extinction of the dinosaurs, and so they made it through these very rough times during their own unique epidemic. The work to clean waterways and reestablish local oyster beds and in the Chesapeake Bay continues. We have much to be proud of, especially the work done by volunteers and staff of these great groups. It must be stated, however, that they would not be successful were it not for the financial assistance of federal, state, and city funding, as well as donations from individuals and businesses. We're all in this together. It takes all of us doing what we can to prevent pollution and keep our waterways thriving. Someday, when our current restrictions are over, we can get together again and return to enjoying the amazing oyster, who also works very hard at cleaning our waterways. Thank you for watching. It's been my honor to present a short history of this amazing bivalve, the beneficial and ever so important Virginia oyster. Thank you.
Man, oh man, am I learning a lot about oysters tonight. I don't know about you guys, but that was some fascinating information. My wealth of knowledge for this little bivalve and its importance to Virginia Beach is growing by the minute, which gives me an idea. Let's share the wealth. time to announce our second raffle prize winner. And George Coterides has the honor of choosing the lucky person who wins not one, not two, but 10 $50 restaurant gift cards from the Atlantic Avenue Association.
Hello, my name is George Coterides, and I am a board member with Lynnhaven River Now. I'm excited to announce the winner of the raffle prize for 10 $50 restaurant gift certificates at resort area restaurants in Virginia Beach. My connection to this is I happen to own one of the restaurants, Doughboys, right here at the corner of 17th Street and Atlantic Avenue. So, good luck everyone. And the winner is Trista Emmerich. Congratulations, Trista.
Yes, golf clap, Trista. I will get you my contact information so we can share your prize. That is an awesome one. You're certainly going to be getting some delicious oceanfront food, probably for the rest of the year. Well, one aspect of LRNow's work that I really, really love, and I know a lot of you do too, is how the organization engages schools to create the next generation of conservationists through its Pearl Schools program. All City of Virginia Beach public schools and 19 of the city's private schools earned LRNow's Pearl School Award through environmental actions and curriculum. Most of us aren't actually inside the schools watching all this go down, the environmental education in action. So this video was created to give you the insider's perspective.
The Green Run Campus Community Garden, we started it 4 years ago, and it all came to fruition about a grant that 3 of us had written from Lowe's, and we won having no idea, and it was $25,000. We had all this green space out here, and it wasn't being used. And so we thought, what a perfect situation, and we're trying to come together as a campus, and we wanted to produce something that everyone could enjoy.
We decided to become a Pearl School because we feel it's really important to show how proud we are of taking care of our planet and our schoolyard, and for the students to see our banner and to see all of the efforts that we make to making the planet a better place. Hopefully it instills in them to be a good steward of the earth.
So the purpose of the Pearl School program is to connect students with nature. Of course, you can't help save something if you don't have a connection to it. So we want to connect them to nature. We also want to give them authentic, real-world, hands-on experiences with nature. So not just reading about it in a book or watching a movie about it, but actually getting involved in it. And the other thing that we want to do is we really want to grow stewards of the earth. And so by setting up the Pearl School program, which is the excellence in environmental education, sustainability, and stewardship, we've covered all of those 3 goals, and the students come out with a win-win.
Well, the reason we became a Pearl School is because we do have a lot of environmental science classes. We have oceanography, we have biology. We have a very good science department in both Green Run High School and Green Run Collegiate. We work very well together, and we all had the same mission. And the kids are very interested. And you know, when you get teenagers involved and you get them on the bandwagon and involved and on board, only good things are going to come from it.
I think becoming a Pearl School for Green Run Campus has been important because we have brought together all of the different curriculums. We work with art classes to see what they can do to promote sustainability, and it shows the students that it's really important to take care of our planet. And it's not just about science, it's about the way that we live.
So to become a Pearl School, schools have to get a certain number of points. So in order to get points, There's a lot of different ways. You can do activities that are involved in environmental education, learning about your watershed, learning about the things that are happening around you. You can also get points in sustainability, and you can also get points in stewardship. And so a lot of the schools work towards all three of those. Some schools do things like oyster gardening, or gardens like the one you see behind me, planting trees, doing cleanups.
Some of the programs we've done to engage them in environmental learning, they're a little campus wide, and sometimes we do get off campus. We have a really nice rain garden that was put in 2 years ago. Then the community garden, of course, that came together, and this has been just a huge collaborative effort between all the campus and as well as across the street. The Green Run Homeowners Association has worked with us as well. And so from the environmental standpoint, we've had farmers markets. And when we have the farmers markets, the kids have grown everything, they harvest everything, they learn about organics and watershed and runoff, and from the environmental standpoint, and how to produce food sustainably. And some of the other things, we've done a zero waste week where we tried to bring awareness and have no waste within the building. You either recycled it or we found places in which it would go, compost in the garden, that sort of thing.
So Pearl Schools impact Virginia Beach in many different ways. One of the biggest ways is that we do a lot of restoration work, and we've found out that we've put out over 6,000 plants in the last 15 years. We have restored over 1,400 square feet of wetlands, and we have restored miles and miles of beachland. And the students working on their own and the schools working on their own have decreased the amount of litter that's on their property. They've gone and they've composted lots and lots of materials in their composters. They've gone ahead and reused a lot of materials. They've grown oysters for us. So there's been a big change in Virginia Beach because of the Pearl School program. We've kind of changed behavior in the schools, and we've also changed the emphasis that the schools have on environmental education, sustainability, and stewardship.
The work LRNow is doing with your support is really making a difference in Virginia Beach. I know I love going for walks, probably like you guys do too, on our very clean, beautiful local beaches and watching dolphins play in the Lynnhaven River. It is a definite sign of positive change. Dr. Scott White is with us tonight to share why he supports LRNow.
Thank you for joining us tonight for our celebration. My name is Scott White, and I'm a volunteer with Lynnhaven River Now. I grew up camping and fishing in many beautiful spots along the Virginia coast. I also worked as a first mate on charter boats during college, so I understand the importance of the economic impact that a healthy waterway can have on a community. I realized some time ago that every single person has an impact on the environment. And I believe that each one of us has a responsibility to try to lessen that impact. That's why I support Lynnhaven River Now through volunteerism and through making monthly donations. I love that Lynnhaven River Now was founded by environmentally conscious citizens just like you and me. Their desire to bring back the Lynnhaven River oyster resulted in an incredible partnership with our community that is working to stop pollution at its source, restore our waterways, and educate the next generation of environmental stewards. I hope that you'll consider supporting the great work of Lynnhaven River Now by donating on a monthly basis.
Well, if you love our local waterways and you want to be part of keeping them clean and healthy, please make a donation now to LRNow's website. In doing so, you'll be supporting important education, restoration, and advocacy efforts. You can get access to the link to make a donation right now in the chat. Check it out on your phone or in your computer, or you can go to the website on your smartphone or your computer. Like I just said, it is lynnhavenrivernow.org. I'm going to say it one more time. It's Lynnhaven River Now, all spelled out, .org. Now, while you're making your donations to support LR Now, we're going to take care of the next raffle. And here for that is Steve Herbert. He's the vice chair of the LRNow board, and he's going to choose the lucky winner of an overnight stay. Yeah, that will be a lucky winner at the Williamsburg Winery.
Good evening. My name is Steve Herbert. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Lynnhaven River Now, and it is my honor tonight to announce the winner of an absolutely awesome raffle prize. It's an overnight stay for 2 at the Williamsburg Winery. Thank you, Williamsburg Winery. Before I announce the winner, though, I want to thank everybody that participated in this raffle. Not only the raffle, but the Oyster Roast, and to all of you who have supported Lynnhaven River Now throughout this COVID year. Thank you very much. Now on to the announcement. I want to first say good luck to everybody. The winner is Anita Cooney. Congratulations, Anita.
Yes, congratulations, Anita Cooney, the big winner of a big prize. Let's keep the prize winning going, my friends, with another fun trivia question. The prize for the first person who answers correctly in the Zoom chat is a $50 gift card to the restaurant Belamonte. So romantic. Joining me to ask the question is Jim DePepe.
Hi, my name is Jim Deppie, and I've been with Lynnhaven River now for 2 or 3 years officially, and long before that as a volunteer. My job is advocacy, and one of the great things that we've been working on in the last year is banning styrofoam containers and balloon releases in the environment, and both of those were passed in the 2021 General Assembly, which was a big move for Virginia in reducing waste in our waterways. It's important that we reduce the amount of single-use plastics in our waterways as much as we can. And there's a lot of alternatives to single-use plastics, and that's what we would encourage people to consider. What trash in the ocean do sea turtles often mistake for their favorite food?
Audio. Okay. First, I want to apologize to Jim for saying his name incorrectly. Deppie. I got you now, my friends. And the winner is Kathy Matson. Kathy Matson. Enjoy your meal, Kathy. Congratulations. Fast fingers, my friends. Okay, we turn now to education. It is a cornerstone of LRNow's work. Along with helping to educate the next generation of conservationists in our schools, LRNow also works with citizens just like you to collect data, clean up trash, and learn about important environmental policy.
Education is a key component of Lynnhaven River Now's work. Learning about our waterways and keeping them healthy is an ongoing process. We give citizens hands-on learning experiences through 3 of our Citizen Scientist programs: water quality monitoring, waterway cleanups, and spat catching.
The Water Quality Monitoring Program is a program supported by Lynnhaven River Now, and it involves somewhere less than 20 citizen scientists like myself. On a monthly basis, we go out and we draw water samples from various designated areas around the watershed. So it's a fun program. I enjoy participation in that. I have been collecting water samples for about 4 years now. I chose to participate in the Water Quality Monitoring Program because it was a program supported by the Lynnhaven River Now. They needed some volunteers to do it. It's another excuse to get out into the wild areas that we have around here and stay close to the river and help out the community. The data that we collect for is used to produce about a dozen or so different tests. Enterococcus being one, E. coli, another one that we're probably a little bit familiar with. Salinity, we check the water temperature, we check the pH. HRSD checks phosphates and a number of other measures, all indications of water quality. The Stewardship and Access Committee is one of the several committees within Lynnhaven River Now. Anybody who's interested in dropping in to attend a meeting or to become a member of the committee is welcome to do so. We plan and organize the various river cleanups that take place over the course of the year. We'll also do a little bit of education and community outreach. We'll try to educate the public on what we do at the Lynnhaven River Now and in the cleanups, and also try to recruit some volunteers. One of the memorable experiences I had while volunteering was perhaps the first opportunity that I had, and that was when Chris Ludford was part of the crew that we had there volunteering that day. He was with his family, and he also brought along some oysters. And of course, these oysters were fresh out of the Lynnhaven River, and served those up at the end, and I was hooked at that point.
Lynnhaven River Now partners with a lot of different groups that carry out advocacy work. Probably our most important partner is the Virginia Conservation Network. It's a network of about 150 environmental organizations across the state of Virginia. Every fall, we put together a common agenda for the state, and those are the issues that the environmental community really works on during the General Assembly session. So last year, for instance, we worked on tree preservation and restoration legislation, as well as a ban on polystyrene and a ban on balloon releases, and I'm happy to say that all three of those issues passed last year. So I see our programs as really having four basic legs. We have our restoration work is one leg of our programs. We build oyster reefs, we plant trees, all kinds of work to restore our natural ecosystems in Virginia Beach. And the second leg of that table is our outreach work that engages the community through our Pearl Business Program, our Pearl Faith Communities Program, our Pearl Home Program, and engages students and teachers through the Pearl School Program, educating our stewards of the future. And then the third leg is good environmental policy, and that's really the goal of our advocacy work, to work with our community leaders and our elected officials to promote good environmental policy. And the last leg of that table is the financial support that makes all of this work possible. So thank you to our donors for being an important leg of that table.
All right, guys, that was some great information, and thank you to Karen for that. We had a special request via the Zoom chat. Some folks wanted to know what the answers were to the trivia question. So for the first one, the answer was 50 gallons. And for the most recent question, the answer was plastic bags. So now you know, and we will also post the answer to the last trivia question once we get to that. But we're going to move on now. We're going to talk a little bit about the First Lady of Virginia. You may know her, right? Well, she worked for LRNow as the Pearl Programs coordinator, rather. In fact, Pam Northam worked with many local faith communities, schools, and businesses on how they could make good choices for our local environment. Mrs. Northam wants to share a message with us tonight about the importance of LRNow to our community.
Hello and welcome to Lynnhaven River Now's 19th annual Oyster Celebration. All Virginians benefit from healthy waterways, and Hampton Roads, we know more than most how it affects us economically and culturally. It is the core of our livelihoods and our unique and wonderful quality of life. The governor and I wish we could be there with you to shuck oysters today, but you know I carry you in my heart wherever I go. In fact, when I talk to the folks all around the Commonwealth and really all around the world, I'm so proud to tell them the story of how a community came together to save a river. Neighbors who decided they had to do something to stop the slow, inevitable demise of their beloved waterways. And so this nonprofit was created. This small but mighty local grassroots effort grew as they joined with city, state, and federal partners to begin the journey of healing. We went from almost losing all of our precious Lynnhaven oysters to now much of the river being clean, clear, enough to be harvestable and swimmable again. Today, including more watersheds than just the Lynnhaven, LRNow works throughout the entire city. Thank you for your generous support, for it is vital for the 6 key programs that help to continue the work of healthy and clean waterways: Pearl Homes and Neighborhoods, Pearl Schools, Pearl Faith Communities, and of course our oyster restoration programs and advocacy. Again, it takes a village, and we have been working with many LRNow initiatives at the state level. The governor is the chair of the Chesapeake Bay Executive Council and has implemented historic investments in clean water. You know he has always made protecting the Chesapeake Bay a priority. Additionally, we passed legislation banning the release of balloons, which we know has such an impact on our waterways and ecosystems. We placed controls on single-use plastics, polystyrene, and plastic bags, made historic investments in alternative energies, tree preservation and replacement, and of course, the work on resilience and the Flood Preparedness Fund. We are so proud to have recently opened our 40th state park, Makakomoko, in Gloucester County overlooking the York River, which honors the contributions of Indigenous peoples. We've codified the Environmental Justice Council so that even as administrations change, we will continue to prioritize equity in the environment, as we know that not everyone is equally impacted by climate change and environmental degradation. There's so much for Virginians to be proud of. And again, thank you for the role that you play in making that happen. Thank you to Karen and the incredible team at Lynnhaven River Now. Please enjoy your oysters and the rest of the program. Thank you so very much.
Incredible that LRNow, a grassroots environmental organization here in Virginia Beach, has cultivated such key relationships in the city and state government. Speaking of cultivating relationships, let's do some of that right now. I want to hear from all of you. We're going to get everybody involved who's watching right now. We want you all to participate in a poll. Here's the question. If you were to be outside enjoying our local waterways, what would you prefer to do? Here are your choices. Here we go. Sail in the Chesapeake Bay, fish in the North Landing River, walk along a Lynnhaven River waterfront trail, or kayak in Back Bay. Now, if you're like me, you probably want to do all of these things, but we're going to see which one of those 4 actually wins out. While you're responding in the chat, we're going to take a firsthand look at how great partnerships between local businesses and faith communities with LRNow are improving and our city.
All faiths have texts grounded in the interconnectedness of the sacred, the natural world, and one another. Lynnhaven River Now's Pearl Faith Community Program gives support to any faith community to turn faith into action with environmental stewardship.
Caring for creation is a spiritual experience. Lynnhaven River Now helps our church community to care for all this beautiful property that we've been entrusted with.
The church decided to move because the old location had flooding that disrupted and ruined our Sundays. The whole neighborhood was prone to flooding. So they looked for a building that could be a church that was on higher ground. I ascribe that to climate change. This church encountered a big ask when we took on this property because of the environmental requirements that we needed to meet. So we needed help. And help is available in the form of conservation nonprofits like Lynnhaven River Now that will really help you do the step-by-step and prioritize. So we kind of went from being overwhelmed to pretty optimistic. We got our arms around it, and the buzzword in those days was stewardship.
Even before the church moved to this site, we were very concerned with climate change and energy conservation and so forth. We worry about future generations. Climate change seems to be getting so bad so quickly that we're alarmed by the extent of it, and we want to leave a healthy planet for our descendants.
The church decided to become a Pearl Faith community while I was on the environmental committee. I had worked with Lynnhaven River Now and out at the Brock Center as a guide. So when we saw this property and where we were affected and what were affected around us, it was an easy thing to talk to the people, various people here at the church, the committees, and decide that this is something we wanted to do. And that's where we applied for it.
The Pearl Faith Community, which is an award that we received from Lynnhaven River Now, we're proud of it, and it is right by the door. So when you approach the entrance ramp to the church, it says who we are, and it's right there front and center.
Businesses are a key to restoring and protecting our waterways. Lynnhaven River Now works with local businesses who want to demonstrate to the community that they are taking extra steps to be great stewards of our local waterways. 28 Pearl businesses are taking the lead in adopting a culture of environmental responsibility. They are recognized for their efforts to restore our waterways and sustain the natural beauty found throughout our city. Please put these waterway-friendly businesses to work for you.
Crocs chose to become a Pearl business. It was pretty easy. We were one of the first, or the first Virginia Green restaurant in the Commonwealth of Virginia over a decade ago. And this is a great way to support our local nonprofit, Lynnhaven River Now. Crocs chose to do a stormwater management project on our property. One, we're in the center and at the heart of the Vibe Creative District, where really 3 watersheds intersect right here along 19th Street on our property. It was the right thing to do for our business and for the community. So Lynnhaven River Now assisted with this project in many facets. We couldn't have done it without them. From coordinating volunteers to the education piece to helping us identify native plant species. We really needed their expertise, their volunteerism, and the community spirit to bring this project together.
The Vibe has been excited to encourage businesses to become Pearl businesses because we know it's an environmentally conscious and sound motive for them. Here in the Creative Arts District, we are people that are environmentally friendly, eco-conscious. We want to have a great, thriving community, and that means looking at all things, not just art, but also the environment.
Awesome. So Crocs is enthusiastic.
Hey guys, what's the winner? Sail in the Chesapeake Bay. There it is. You guys voted. You're in charge of the poll, and that is the winner. Sounds pretty good to me. All right. Well, the partnerships LRNow has created with city businesses, faith communities, schools, civic leagues, neighborhoods, and all of you are what make restoring and protecting our waterways possible. Kelly Steinhilber and her daughter Margot are with us now to share why they support LRNow.
This is my daughter Margot Hawkins. Margot, how old are you?
3.
And I've been involved in Lynnhaven River Now for almost 10 years. My favorite part of Lynnhaven River Now are the education programs. And even before we had Margot, I volunteered with growing wetlands in the classroom field trips and got to see kids experience planting and being on the water, sometimes for the first time. The program is such a great way for kids to learn about growing plants and then to get to see how they actually help our waterways. Hey, Margot, do you have a garden at your school?
Mm-hmm.
Margot goes to a Pearl school, a Pearl preschool. And what did you plant in your garden this week?
Sunflowers.
Sunflower seeds. And have you planted some vegetables this year?
Purple peppers.
Purple peppers. Yum. Are they growing yet?
Don't have vegetables on them yet.
Not yet. So I also really love that Margot gets to participate in a Pearl school and how that impacts the whole school community. What would I tell someone who is thinking about making a first-time donation to Lynnhaven River Now? One of the really important things for me is keeping our waterways clean and healthy. And as we see our climate continue to change, those impacts are going to keep growing. So as we see these heavy rainstorms, it carries more pollutants into the river. So everything is really connected. And it really takes all of us, whether it's our small business or our schools or our faith communities or our homes, we can all make a really big difference. This organization has all of the programs that are helping us to really get involved. So I think we've got to make sure that we keep our water clean for these little guys.
Yeah, what great ambassador, little Margot. She's adorable. All right, well, we do have to thank you all so very much for being part of this program. If you believe LRNow is making a difference in our community like they do, please invest your dollars in addition to your time to help this organization continue its great work. You can donate online at www.lynnhavenrivernow.org. That's spelled out. While you're making those donations to support LRNow, we're going to return the favor with our final raffle prize. And here's Bob Wells, the chair of LRNow's board of directors. He's going to draw the lucky winner of a private oyster roast for 30 of your very closest friends and family, provided by Beach Bully and Pleasure House Oysters.
Hi, I'm Bob Wells, and my connection to Lynnhaven River Now is I'm the president of the board of directors, and I have the exciting duty of picking the winning raffle ticket for the private oyster roast for 30 people, courtesy of Beach Bully Barbecue and Pleasure House Oysters. So with that, cross your fingers and good luck. And the winning person is Alexandra Powell. Congratulations, Alexandra. Please enjoy. Thank you all for your support.
Oh yeah, Alexandra. Good for you, Miss Powell. I will be sending you my contact information because that sounds like it's going to be a great party. Okay, guys, key element to LRNow's success in cleaning up our waterways are the almost 6,000 households, like many of yours who are watching right now, who committed to good environmental practices in their homes through the Pearl Home program. It turns out all of us working together really makes a difference.
Lynnhaven River Now has a special designation for homeowners who show us just how much they care about their waterways. More than 5,000 households in Virginia Beach are classified as Pearl homes because they made choices that benefit our local waterways in their households. The cumulative impact of all of these individuals in their own homes working toward the same goal of clean and healthy waterways is huge. You can be a Pearl home if you rent or own your home, or if you live in an apartment or condo. In addition to being part of the Pearl Home program, homeowners can also receive advice from Lynnhaven River Now on how to diminish property erosion with living shorelines and oyster castles, and lessen pollutants in our waterways using storm management techniques like rain barrels and rain gardens.
I chose to be a Pearl home because we live on the water, and it's very important to my husband and I that we preserve this water for future generations. This watershed is so important to Virginia Beach for all the recreational purposes, for our seafood. We're known as a beautiful area in Tidewater, Virginia. Everybody needs to do their own little bit, and whatever I could do to help, this filled my niche for myself. Lynnhaven River Now helped make the area more environmentally friendly by helping me start this living shoreline. I really wasn't aware what I needed to do. We had a problem, and the problem was flooding over our grass, and it was unsightly, and there was goose poop all over the place. We couldn't grow grass because of the flooding. Lynnhaven River Now gave us wonderful help as far as giving us information as far as plants we should use, contractors. They just went beyond imagination of how helpful they were. And it turned out to be a godsend because we have no problem with flooding now. We have continued with projects on our own, keeping in mind the idea that Lynnhaven River Now instilled in us of using native plants. We have our buffer garden out front in the low area, and then the following year we continued with higher buffer garden, and then there is a final garden, all primarily natives. When you come and walk through this buffer garden in the summertime, birds fly out, dragonflies, you might have a nest of ducklings or geese. It's incredible. This is absolutely a living shoreline.
Well, guys, I sure hope if you live in Virginia Beach, we can count on you as a Pearl home. If you haven't had the chance to become one, sign up for this free program so you can fly a Pearl home flag and let your neighbors know what a great environmental steward you are. You'll find the link to sign up in the chat box. I signed up recently and I was surprised. A lot of the questions that you answer, I found that I was doing these things. A lot of you are doing these things, so it makes sense to get involved and to grow it and keep doing them. So I hope you will join as well. All right, guys, this is going to be our second to last trivia question and prize giveaway. And we'll have one more right at the end of the program, so don't go anywhere. Let's get right to it. Lansdowne High School teacher Casey Daniel is reading this trivia question. The way to win is to be the first person to put the correct answer in the chat box. The prize for this trivia question is a $50 gift certificate to Doc Taylor's Restaurant.
Hi, my name is Casey Daniel. I've been involved with Lynnhaven River Now for about the last decade through various different programs, including the Trash and Show as part of the Education Committee and the Pearl School Liaison for Lansdowne High School. Keeping our waterways clean is super important to me as an environmental science teacher and just as a citizen of Virginia Beach with all of the important waterways around us. Virginia Beach has 7 different watersheds: Eastern Branch of the Elizabeth, Little Creek, Lynnhaven, Rudy and Owl Creek, North Landing River, Back Bay, and Northwest River, which is the largest watershed in our city.
Do we need to give our friends more time? This is a tough question. This is when you got to put your thinking cap on. Maybe get your Google out. Yeah, get your Google going, because we do want to have a winner and we need you to post it in that chat so that we can give this prize away, because Doc Taylor's has amazing mimosas, really good Bloody Marys, and bacon. So what the question is, what is the largest watershed in Hampton Roads, in Virginia Beach? My correction, sorry. I know. And it's not Lynnhaven. So there's a clue. Do we have any other clues? It's a state scenic river.
Susan Parker.
Susan Parker, you're our winner. Right, Susan? And the answer was North Landing River Watershed. Okay, Susan, so Susan, I'll see you for brunch tomorrow. Meet you down there at Doc's because it's delicious. Guys, you know, we've learned tonight that oyster restoration is critically important here in Virginia Beach. LRNow is committed to building and maintaining sanctuary reefs and utilizing oyster castles to stabilize living shorelines. But LRNow also recognizes that trees are a very important element of waterway restoration as well. Trees store gallons of water, helping to keep our lawns and streets from flooding. They absorb nutrients and keep those nutrients from polluting our waters and causing excess algae. Trees take in carbon dioxide that could otherwise be dissolved in the ocean, making the ocean waters more acidic and damaging marine life, including the native oyster population our community has worked so very hard to revive. In November of last year, LRNow planted 500 trees in the low-lying neighborhood of Ocean Lakes in the Back Bay watershed and have plans for more tree planting this year. LRNow also has a program that recognizes old trees in the city. It's called the Notable Tree Program. Let's learn more about it.
Ocean Lakes was selected for our first tree planting project in 2020 because of its location. It's in the northern part of the Back Bay watershed, which is part of the city's southern watersheds, which drain to North Carolina into the Albemarle-Pamlico estuary. Unlike the Chesapeake Bay area and the Lynn Haven, which drain to the north, about 2/3 of Virginia Beach drains to the south.
I got to know Lynn Haven River Now when I was contacted by them about a tree planting project, and I was very excited to hear what they had in mind. Some of the benefits of planting trees in Ocean Lakes is the trees are going to help with some of the flooding issues that we have, and it's also going to help with air quality and water quality.
We have about 2,278 households in a common area of about 22 acres. Flooding is a big issue here, especially when we get a lot of back-to-back rain days. A lot of standing water, roads get flooded. The benefits that I was excited about was not only for our pollution, our air, but also for drainage, wildlife. I love birds, and birds love trees. Lynn Haven River Now I'm excited about because they're working with Ocean Lakes for beautification, for the drainage, the flooding issues. And it's just like a win-win with them and our community.
Trees are important for restoration of waterways, much like oysters are. They take care of filtering runoff, helping with absorption of pollutants and excessive nutrients, just a variety of functions.
So LRNow chose Ocean Lakes for a variety of reasons. The first being that their homeowners association was just so enthusiastic and so easy to work with, but also because they are part of the transition zone across the central part of Virginia Beach and are a low-lying neighborhood that is susceptible to flooding. So we see these trees as both being beneficial for the neighborhood in many ways as an amenity, but they are also a way of helping to control floodwaters in the neighborhood.
I'm Captain Brent James from Lynn Haven River Now. I'm also the founder of the Virginia Beach Notable Tree Program. We have so many beautiful trees here that are deserving of protection. The one behind me is an eastern red cedar. It's about 220 years old. Old trees are especially important because of the multi-generational time it takes for them to grow. The old growth forests in the eastern half of the United States are now 96% depleted. Only 4% remain of what was here when John Smith first came ashore in 1607. So logging and agricultural purposes have just devastated our old growth forests, and now all we have are these remnants here and there, and I try to highlight them and memorialize them and give them the notoriety to protect them so people appreciate them and maintain their status as live trees.
When this tree first started growing, we'd say 325 years ago, it's around 1700. So in 1700, Williamsburg was the capital of Virginia. The founding fathers hadn't even been born yet, so it's a pretty old tree. It's so important to protect our older trees. They do so much for our environment, where they control soil erosion, they cool the atmosphere, their carbon sink, but they also add tremendous beauty and value to property.
Wow, trees, guys, let that soak in. Trees are the oldest living things in Virginia Beach. So cool. Sure hope you are feeling as inspired tonight as I am by LRNow's work. To keep the inspiration flowing, let's do our final trivia question and prize giveaway. Joining us again is Karen Forget, LRNow's Executive Director.
Thanks, Vanessa. And I get to ask the last trivia question of the night. And the prize is great, $100 gift card to CP Shuckers. So listen carefully. We're really grateful to CP Shuckers, both for this gift and because they're part of our Save Oyster Shell program. That takes an extra effort on the part of their staff to donate their shells, and we really appreciate it. So get ready to write your answer in the Zoom chat box. Here's the question. What birthday will LRNow be celebrating next year? Congratulations.
I think we're both up. It's Rachel Greenberg, and the answer was 20 years. That's a golf clap. Most excellent. Congratulations to Rachel. It has been, wow, such a pleasure, Karen, to be with you and with everyone out there tonight. Thank you for having me as part of your event.
And thank you so much, Vanessa, for being with us. And thanks to everyone who has tuned in this evening. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something new and had a really good time at our first ever virtual oyster celebration. I want to give a special shout out to the Meridian Group for the awesome job that they did on the 5 videos about our programs. I hope you enjoyed them. And I also want to give a special shout out to Vanessa for being such a great MC this evening. Thank you, Vanessa. We all look forward to being together again next year to celebrate our 20th birthday. But it's been really nice to connect with you this way this year. So thank you all for everything that you do for our environment and for our waterways and our natural areas in Virginia Beach. Together, we really are making a difference. We'll close tonight with a montage of photos from past oyster roasts and the music of our favorite band, More Perfect Jones. So thanks again, and we'll see you all again very soon. Good night.
Thank you.